All right, guys, it's part 2 of RDJ's take on the FedWars Tournament. Still in round 1. We're on match 6. Let's get right into it. This match was Hamilton Hercules and Brittany Simone and Jesse Uwasu, who didn't show up. So Hamilton Hercules is Summeroff's character. At the risk of sounding like I'm biased, which some people are apparently worried about, Summeroff nailed it. He had a really, really good, very interesting, heavy on story and very low on relevance to the match role play, but I was entertained the whole way through. I talked about short sentences in an earlier, talking about one of the earlier matches. He did it, but it was because it was part of the narrative. It was his character telling the story, and that is kind of how people talk. And people talk in shorter sentences. I don't all the time, but some people do. Anyway, super interesting character. I mean, brand new for him for the tournament, which is nice. I don't have to know a bunch of backstory on him. I thought it was really, really good, and I know the other guys agreed with me, the other judges. Brittany Simone, 6, it was a good role play, but man, I mean, if there's something that can go wrong to a person, you had it go wrong to this character. Talking about getting framed for murder and all, I mean, that wasn't it. It was a bunch of this kind of stuff. Like, we were talking about how she didn't want to linger on it, but man, you really lingered on those things. I didn't like the setting. It was a little much. So I don't know. It's the fact that it was in a well. I don't know. But there was a fire. Like, I don't know, man. Your writing is good. Like, structurally, like you do a good job of not having tons of spelling errors or anything of that nature. But man, you need to work on consistency and pick one thing and stick to it. And not try to hit all over the board. I do appreciate that you're trying to go with a more mature angle for your characters, and by mature I mean you're writing stuff you're being more mature in your writing, not necessarily that the subject is mature. It got really dark there at the end. I don't know that I cared for that. I don't know. So it was a little rough, and I think Hamilton Hercules really took this one pretty handily. But keep it up, 6. I mean, I appreciate where you're going and how you're evolving as a writer. I think you're making good steps. All right, the second match of round 1 was Dylan O'Malley, the former FedWars champion from last year, or I guess current reigning FedWars champion from last year's tournament, Al Envy, and Hunter Walters, who no-showed. So we don't even talk about Hunter Walters. This is one of those situations where, I mean, Dylan O'Malley did a very good role play. I like how he kind of how he adds his like accent, or adds like some the I'm trying to think how to say it. How his character would talk. Like, he does a lot of y'alls and I mean, and like he does a lot of stuff to make his character's dialogue sound like he's writing it as though how it would sound, not necessarily how you would spell the words. Which, once you get over it, I kind of like it. I mean, I do a little bit of that sometimes when I write on occasion. He writes like straight ball of talks, like SB talks, but that's okay. I really liked it. Like, I thought the dialogue was really cool. He did a good job of talking about where he was coming from into this year's tournament relative to being the champion from last year, and it was pretty good. But Hal Envy did a great job. I do not like the subject matter and like the stuff that the NEW guys, like their theme and stuff isn't my cup of tea. I don't hate it. It's just not my thing. But a lot of those guys are awesome writers, and this is a very good example of that. Al Envy did a great role play. I was talking earlier about 24 Karat Alex Gold. He tried to pull off that cocky, like, arrogant son of a bitch role play. Al Envy's the king of that, man. This role play typified that kind of personality in a worker. It was very well written. I like how he structures it. It was clean, very clean, and how it was written. He does cool stuff like his intro, like the following presentation is a Better Than You production. Hashtag show stealer at the end, stuff that's it's cool, that isn't it's not really part of the story of the role play or anything, but it's cool stuff. I like that he does that. It's part of his shtick, and I dig it. So, yeah, Al took this one. So the reigning champion knocked out in round 1, but very good job. Well, not knocked out because he took the place. No, did he? No, he didn't. I'm sorry. I got mixed up. Oh no, he did. Yeah, he sorry. He filled in from the Johnson. The next the match I skipped over. Johnson, Sato, and Smith that nobody roleplayed in. O'Malley made it into the second round because none of them showed for their first round match. So it's good to still see him in the tournament. I think he needs to step it up a notch if he hopes to retain the title. But yeah, Al Envy kicked his butt in that match. All right, guys. The next round we have 2 guys that were very lucky in their first round draws, and that's Jason Cross and Hell's Bouncer. Neither one of these guys, man. I think if you put them up against anybody else in this tournament, I really don't think they would have made it to round 2, either of them. But as it stands, Jason Cross got lucky with his draw, and it came up against somebody who was about the same skill level as he was, and now he finds himself in round 2. Hell's Bouncer's roleplay was real rough, short, and it was written like a promo, but that promo, if it was something that was really delivered in a professional wrestling fed, just wouldn't have cut it. It wouldn't have been something they probably would have even aired. It's just really rough, dude. You need to expand, add some setting, add a story where there's something that happens from beginning to end. Instead, it's just you talking to the camera for a few short paragraphs, which, when you're going up against the kind of guys that are in this tournament, isn't going to cut it. Jason has the same problem in that there isn't any setting, really. Kind of. He talks about being in his office, and there's a cameraman there. But other than that, there's nothing really pulling me through the role play from beginning to end. It's just a very short bit of dialogue where he laughs a little bit and tells the cameraman to shut up and zoom in on him. And it just, it wasn't anything that wowed me, especially when you're looking at some of the guys that are, that already got bounced out of this first round of this tournament because of their draws. Guys that easily would have handed Jason Cross his ass. So I don't mean to be mean, dude, but you need to step it up in round 2 if you hope to get further in the tournament. All right, the next round we had the Massacre Maker Dylan Erickson and Elizabeth Devereaux and Mr. Slam, who big surprise didn't show up. So this was one of the hard ones to call. Dylan Erickson's was very good. Once again, it's one of those situations where I had some preconceived notions about what I was going to get going into a Dylan Erickson roleplay, and that's maybe tainted a bit by me only having seen him when he was running a federation. So, and what he did for his short stint in the NGW. But he really surprised me and put up a very good roleplay. I dug it. It was a good interview-style roleplay, good setup, good scene and setting. Did a good job of talking about his match and his opponents. It was very clean, grammar-wise and spelling-wise, and structurally was very solid. So yeah, he did a very good job. Elizabeth Devereaux did a great job too, and hers was more entertaining to me. I've read the guy gets run into backstage and set up for an interview, hastily kind of role play before. So Dylan didn't really tread a lot of new ground. Elizabeth's setting was much more interesting. She did a good job of establishing a character and making me care about what she was saying. Not that Dylan didn't. He did too. It just, there wasn't as much unique or new or stuff that didn't feel like it hadn't been done 100 times already. But it was very good. So, if I had to rate these guys in my own Fed as role plays for an NGW event, I probably would have given Elizabeth a 9, and I would have given Dylan a high 8. You guys can disagree with me on how the grading scale works and stuff, but I wanted to more say that to show that I would have rated these two very closely. I just think Elizabeth had a slight edge over Dylan as far as the criteria I use to grade a role play. So very good job by both of you guys. It's a bummer that Dylan Erickson is out when somebody like Cross is moving on, is I guess what I'm getting at. So if I could have shuffled it up a little bit, I would, but that's not my job. So sorry, Dylan. Good job, man. I really liked your role play. All right, up next we have the match that I was both looking forward to the most and dreading the most. Ryan Omega, Rob Riot, and Little C. Little C has done very good lately. He's doing awesome in PWA, having recently won the Bay Area Championship. He's doing very good in the NGW. We're excited to have him there too, and he's got some big things in the future for him in NGW. He just got like the worst of all possible draws in this NGW tournament. In that he's going up against two guys who can generally be considered two of the heaviest hitters in the tournament, and that's Ryan Omega and Rob Riot. So as far as Little C's roleplay goes, let's do that first. It was kind of the same deal. I mean, is Dylan Erickson's roleplay. Why I was saying, it's not the kind of thing it's the kind of thing I've seen 100 times over already. Somebody getting stopped by an interviewer and they do an ad hoc quickie roleplay or promo. So, I mean, this is a perfect example of that. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if you set aside the characters involved, Dylan and Little C's roleplays are the exact same situation. So, I would have liked to have seen something a little bit different. I'm interested in the idea of Chill by Design being Little C's dad, and that's interesting stuff. He could have played on that more, maybe a little bit. But otherwise, I mean, once again, it wasn't that it was bad. It was very well written. It was solid, good grammar. I mean, he did a good job of establishing his character and talking about his opponents. It just wasn't anything unique, different that I haven't seen before. So going up against guys like Ryan Omega and Rob Wright, you got to pull something out of your hat, more so than, a fairly typical promo roleplay. Now, having said that, I've read Ryan Omega's stuff before. He could do a very good role play. I don't think this was one of his best. There's a couple little things in it where the wording kind of went off track a little bit, like he lost his track of his train of thought mid-sentence. There's a couple things that just stuck in my craw. They were pretty minor, but otherwise it was another one of those a promo RP where he's it's a different setting than what was in Little C's, but it was still a promo RP where he was just shooting on his opponent, which, that is one way to tackle role plays. And like I said before, I'm more of a story guy than a role play guy, so that might be part of why it didn't strike me as much. I mean, Rob Riot does promo type RPs too, but when I put those two up against each other, man, Rob Riot's promo struck me like something. If I heard somebody talking about it, or somebody delivering it on a professional wrestling show, I would sit there and watch intently, and it captured me. Whereas Ryan Omega's was a little bit more rambly. He did a good job of throwing in some real hard gut punches in his smack talk to his opponents, but it just didn't ring like a well delivered thought follows thought style promo where you're interested in it the whole way through, and he takes you from beginning to end into one solid thought. It was a good promo role play. Just Rob Riot schooled him on how to do a promo role play, in my opinion. All right, the next match, we had Maxwell Saloki, L.A. Keefe, and Joey Lights. Joey Lights no-showed, so we'll just stick with Max and Keefe. This was another one that was surprisingly hard to judge. I know Max wasn't super psyched about the end result on his roleplay, but I thought it was really good. It was interesting. He's really good at writing funny situations into his roleplays. Max is. And then, Keefe's the same way. He does a good job of being a comedy writer, whether he wants to be a comedy writer or not. This is one where my vote actually went against the result. I picked L.A. Keefe for the win, but it was still very, very close. It was a hard decision, but I got outvoted, so that's okay. Sorry, Max. I tried to save you from having to go on to another round, but I liked Keefe's because it was a situation and written in a way that was super interesting. Broke the fourth wall a bunch. Was weird as hell. but man, it made me laugh. It kept me entertained the whole way through. I really liked it. Max's was well written. It was funny. It was more relevant as far as a match goes, I think, but it just didn't hold my attention or catch my attention like Keith's did. But like I said, it was really super close. I probably would have given them the same grade had I been grading them for an event, but I didn't think, because of how we're grading these things for winners and stuff, I didn't let anybody have a tie in any of my gradings for any of the matches. So even when there were situations where, had it been an NGW event, I would have given them equal scores, because we don't pick winners based on grades. I mean, we take it into account and it's a general indicator, but that's not like, it's not math. It's the staff picks the winner based on a long and lengthy, in-depth conversation. So, this is one where I probably would have given the same grade for slightly different reasons. But because I didn't, I gave Keith the slight edge over Maxwell for the win. Okay, guys, I'm actually going to end part 2 right there because I just got done recording the rest of it. And if I don't stop it here, it's going to be a freaking 35-minute long deal. So this is the end of part 2. Come back for part 32 as well. Thanks.